Let's now open the data model and see what goes on there. So you can access the data model from the Power Pivot tab. So if you don't already have this tab, just go to File, then go to Options, select Add-ins, then choose COM Add-ins, go, and you will see Microsoft Power Pivot for Excel. Just check the box if it is not already checked, and it will appear here on as an additional tab. Once you get to the Power Pivot, just open the Manage, click on the Manage tab, and it opens the Power Query, the Power Pivot. So it's basically kind of the same like Excel. It has grids and tables. However, the advantage of the Power Pivot is it allows you to work with a bigger data set. So for Excel, as you've noticed, the last row, it only supports 1,448,576 rows. And beyond that, you cannot add any more rows. Now, this is quite sufficient data. There's very few data sets that could reach 1 million for a small enterprise. However, if you have a large enterprise and you have millions and millions of data, Power Pivot is able to support a much larger data set beyond the limitations of the 1 million. So that's one advantage of loading data into the Power Pivot. So the second advantage is Power Pivot allows you to work with different tables, information from across different tables, by creating connections between them, which we are going to see later on. It has different views. It has a data view where you can view the tables as you would normally do in Excel. It also has a diagram view. So the diagram view, as we will see later on, it assists you in seeing the relationships in your data model. So the first thing we need to do before we do that is we need to create relationships between the data. So we have a table for LPO. It has an item. The company's budget is created per item category, not per item. There is nothing we can relate the two with as of now. However, if we had an additional table, like the items table, which indeed has the item categories and the item name, we can now link the two tables to read from the same data. So how do we do that? The first thing we need to do is create a relationship between the item category in the items table, the item names in the items table, and the item descriptions in the LPOs table. That is the first step we need to take. So there are different types of relationships. There is a one-to-many relationship, there is a one-to-one relationship, and there's a many-to-many relationship. What these relationships mean is this. The one-to-many means that on the one side, you only have unique records. For example, in our items table, we only have unique item names. We don't have duplicates. However, in our LPOs table, we might have duplicate item descriptions. So by creating a relationship between the two tables, we are saying that on the items table, we have singular items or single records of an item. If it's concrete, if it only appears once. However, in the LPOs table, we might have duplicate records of the same item. Let's say, for example, on January 2022, we ordered concrete, and on March 2022, we ordered the same concrete. That is the one type of relationship. The other type of relationship is a many-to-many relationship, of which is not very it's not supported by both the databases, because it might indicate a poor data model, whereby one table has many records of the same item, and on the other table it also has many records of the same item. Now these might be an indication of a poor data model, and most databases do not support this. Excel does not support that. And the last relationship is a one-to-one. You have a table with your customer names and maybe their contact people, and then you have another table that has the supplier names and their email addresses, their street addresses, and their location addresses. Now you might need to separate this into two tables to protect your customer information, maybe. So when you create the relationship between the two, the relationship will be one-to-one, because on the customer and contact people side, you only have one customer, and on the contact and contact information table, you have only single customers. So the next relationship with the budget is still not related to the LPOs. So we need to also to find a way of relating this budget table to these LPOs table, so that when we analyze later on the total procurement cost versus the budget, the model is able to retrieve information of the same item from both tables. So the key information here is the item category. That's the key. However, we cannot create it with the item categories in item description, the category in the items table. And the reason being is we are trying to create a many-to-many relationship, because in the items table, we have, if we can arrange this alphabetically, you see we have duplicate, category A to Z. See, we have duplicates occurrences of chemicals. As well, in the budgets table, we also have the values of the chemicals. So what we need to do is we need to create what are called a dimension table. A dimension table is a table that supports the fact table. So these are fact tables. They contain facts about our LPOs, transactions. They contain facts about our budget for each month. However, we need to create an additional table, and we're going to call these dimensions. So we're just going to have item categories. So what we're trying to do is we are trying to create a table that only has unique records, which we can pair with the different tables that have the description. So these are the only things we need. Control T, table has headers, and we're going to call these item, and let's call categories. Okay, and we are going to add it to the data model. So go to Power Pivot, select the table, then add to model. So now if we see the in data view, we can create a relationship between the item categories and the item categories in this table. So what this has done is it has created a relationship that goes all the way between the three tables. So whenever we want to fetch anything regarding procurement spend and budget based on the category, these relationships will be able to retrieve the information through these paths. And so the last thing we need to do, let's bring this over here, is create a relationship with the supplier name here and the supplier name here. So that is our data model in simple terms. So there's one more thing we need to do, and this is with regards to the date. So whenever you create a data model, you will need to perform some time intelligent analytics somewhere. Maybe you want to view data per month, per year, per day, per quarter. It is important that in your data model, you have a distinct date table that is independent of the dates inside your data. For example, in our LPOs, we have dates, and in our budget, we have dates. We don't really have dates, we have months and years. However, when you want to create analytics and you want to see what's our budget for the month of January compared to the spend in the month of January. Now, since each table has its own unique dates and the budget has its own unique dates, there's nothing really you can build a relationship between the two. However, if your data had all the dates, let's say if the LPOs had all the dates from January 2023 to December 2024 current date, you might be able to do so. You might actually use this table as the date table. However, if the dates are not all present in one table, but they are present in another table, you might not be able to create relationships between the two tables. So what you need is a unique date table that is independent of your data but has all the dates in the calendar. So normally we call it yeah, a calendar. So you need to create a calendar for your data. So, and a quick way to do that is by let's write a column head here, dates, and we can create these from the beginning of our data set if you know the start date of your data set, or you can just create it randomly from a time before the beginning of your data set. So my data starts from 2022, so I'm going to create the first date, 1st of 1st 2022, and I need to create to populate this all the way down to fill up to 2024, end of year 2024. So a quick way to do this, come to home, then fill. You want to fill a series, and then you want to fill in columns. So what this means is in rows, it will fill a single row to the left, and if for columns, it will fill a single column. I know it sounds a bit confusing, but that's how it works. And then you want to say the type is a date, the date unit is a day, and the stop value is 31st 12 2024. Of course, you will use the format that you're using. I use the UK format, so that's how I write my dates, and then click OK. So it fills all the dates in the calendar from 1st of January 2022 to 31st of December 2024. Holding Control Shift up, I'm going to go all the way up, Control T. My table has headers, okay, and I'm going to call this the calendar. Enter. And I'm going to add it to the data model as well. So once that is done, we can add additional columns. So we want to add the month index. Let's first start with the month index. So this is just the month, and then you select the date here. That's it. Then we need to get the year, and so we're going to get equals to year, and then select the date, and then we need the month. We need the short name because that's the prevalent type of month we have. So just call month short so that we can get the short name of the month. So this is we can use the function format, select the date, comma, and write 3Ms. So 3Ms is the month short name. So if you want the long name, you add this as 4Ms, converts it to the full name. We just want 3 months. And then that's pretty much it. So the next thing we need to do is create a relationship between the calendar and the LPO. So we can choose either of the order date or the supply date. But because supply date has some blanks, let's use the order date. And then as well as the budget. So we're going to create a relationship between the budget. For this one, we might have a problem. So what we need to do is we need to go to the budget, and we need to convert this into a proper date. So we can either choose the first of the month or the last of the month. So a quick way to do this is by using the function called date value. So date value. So date value converts a date in the form of a text to a date in date time format. So we need to create a date text for these two values. And so the first thing we need to do is that we need to get the month index. And a quick way to get the month index is by using this function called month. Month. And then the date is we are still going to use the date value here, and then we're going to get the month and concatenate it with space 1, so to represent the day, the first day of the month. So it correctly identifies that this is the January, February, April, May, July, like so. So the next thing now we need to do is get the dates, a full date. So we're going to use the first of the month. So what we're going to do is we're going to write the function date value, and it accepts a text. So the first text is the year, and we need to add a space, then concatenate that with the month, and then add as 1. So that represents the year, a space, the month, a space, and then 1. So this is going to get us the date, the first of the day, of the month, sorry. So there we are, we have a date, 1st of January, 1st of February. So this date, we can use it to create relationship between the two. So whenever we want to see if we exceeded the budget in the month of January 2022 based on our spending compared to the budget, the model will get the information using these parts. If we filter January 2021 from the calendar, these two paths will get us these will get us the budget for that month, and these will get us the budget, the spend for that month. And if we say we want to see it per category, this path will get us the budget for that month for that category, and this path will get us, this path here will get us the total spend for that category for that month and compare it with the budget. So that is how we create a data model. So next up is we are going to use pivot tables, which works hand in hand with Power Pivot so that we can compare the data and get the data.